Have you gone through the things which we have discussed last day?
Yes, sir.
Any question, Sushobhan, or anyone else?
Sir, I have a question. In cloud service models in Salesforce, there are three types: software as a service, platform as a service, and the another thing of infrastructure as a service. Software as a service, I clear. Platform as a service also clear. But what is infrastructure as a service, sir?
What is the infrastructure means to you? What do you mean by infrastructure?
Sir, infrastructure means there must be a platform or some software uh, uh, in their way developing or managing data.
Sorry, not any software. Actually, platform means when you are infrastructure means the the kind of things you need to execute or to run your system, like server, uh, data storage space, uh, all these things. So the people are giving nowadays that has came as part of cloud. Like you can the servers, whatever servers are there, that server you don't need to maintain. Okay,
Okay.
so that server will be maintained by someone else somewhere. You don't need to think about the location as well, but you can use that server. Same way, some space is given in cloud. You don't need to know where that space is. You don't need to do the backup. You don't need to restore if there is any bad thing happens. So you don't need to think about security. All these things will come with that package. You will only pay for that. You will utilize that. So
Okay.
these are actually part of infrastructure as service.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Anything else? Any question related to Apex? Okay, then let's start. Let me go through. Let me just log in. No, 1 minute. Let me log in first. Then we will. Somehow, yes, that's what I was thinking. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great. Hmm. It's just taking some time to log in. Okay. So last day we have written one class, that is my first class, but still it is not saved. When you are using this developer console, keep this in mind. When you are looking into this star, that means you have done some change which are not uh, saved till now. So let me save it. See, saving. Now it is saved. Anyway, so last day what we have discussed, like what are the basic things, like what we have to do when we are going through object oriented programming. What are the basics, like minimum you have to write a class, and what we can write within a class, and how that works. That is one of the thing we will be looking into today. So what, like, why we are writing program? To manipulate data. The simplest thing is, if we don't want to go through any, if we don't want to go through any complex things, the simplest part is that uh, we write program to manipulate data. So initially we could do that using calculators. So with calculator we were doing that. uh, with scientific calculator we can do more things, and all the things are related to numbers, right? The number, we could manipulate, or we could work on numbers. But with computer programs we can work with both numbers and, just give me 1 minute, we can work with both, like numbers and strings or characters. Okay, so that means simply anything which is related to alphabet. With that we will create some, like, obviously that needs to be a meaningful data. But otherwise what will happen, like if we only had to work with numbers we could have gone back to calculators. But combining both the things, like with numbers only you cannot represent everything, you need to come into string. So probably we have written something else previously. It is a good example. Let's look into this one. We'll come to this later. So say this is a class. In this class, what are the things we could do? We can do. Uh, we can take two different things. One is number, and other thing is string. Okay, where we can store a number of characters. And how we are going to utilize that, we will try to look into this today. So first thing is that what we can write within a class. What we can write. First thing what we can do, we can define few variables, and we can write methods or functions within a class. So whatever variables we define, that is called member variable. And do with what we can do with methods, we can put our logic within methods. So member variable and member methods or member functions, within functions we can manipulate that data. Manipulate means there can be different things what we can do, like we can just write whatever, like say within a number, I have to figure out all the prime numbers from 1 to that range. That this, if this kind of logic we have to build, we have to write that within a function. Okay, the variables whatever we have defined, that is good. But after that, if we have to write our own logic, that logic needs to be within function. Now let's come back to this thing, this syntax. Okay, so this part accept these things. This is something we have just seen last day only. That is public. We will define that later. So class and then class name. So this class name can be different. It can be of your choice. What are the things we can use as name? That most of the things I have already told you. And another thing is that when you were writing this class, I'll come to this API version and all later probably. For now, first let's think what we can write within a class. So if we are trying to define numbers, so numbers can be of different type. Different type means it can be a whole number. As a whole, this can be a number. And uh, there can be some other type of numbers, like where we have the fractions. Okay, so that we can which we say decimal places. So there are different types of numbers we can store, and for different types we should be using different type of variables, whatever types of variables, and these are called primitive data types. So why it is called primitive, that also I will tell you. But when we are saying this, that we have to store some number, then first question I should ask myself, what type of number I am going to store, whether that is a whole number or that is a number where decimal places are there. And I have here I have defined another string type of variable. What is string? String is nothing but a set of characters, and ideally, like in our real world, if we just put multiple characters one after another, um, generally what we do, we put something in some order with our knowledge, say specifically with English knowledge, which can make some sense. But when you are writing program, keep in keep in mind that a set of characters which I am identifying as string might or might not be a meaningful word or meaningful, I would say, sentence when we are working with these programs. So here in system, in machine, whatever we are writing, machine does not understand. I am not talking about AI for now. Simple programs, they cannot understand meaningful or unmeaningful things. Like if you are writing something after this, it will always also take that as a string. So string does not mean a meaningful thing, but a set of characters. That's why I am telling it. It is not a word, not a sentence. It is a set of characters. Okay. Say now whether that would be now whether that would be a meaningful thing or not, that is depending upon you, whoever is writing that program, and how uh, you are showing the output of that program. So first thing is that what we should be looking into, that is what are the types of variables we have in Apex. Data types and variables. So ideally what you should look into, that is what is data type, and there is uh, simple thing which we are looking into, that is the primitive data types such as integer, double, long. All these three are numbers. integer is whole number, double is uh, fractional number, that is with decimal place, and long is also like that. But only thing what is different between double and long, I will come to that. Again, we have this date, date time. Sure. So we have this date, date time, then string, ID or boolean. ID I will come come to this later. Boolean, what is boolean? That is, it can take only two different values. It is a kind of, say in UI, if you have a checkbox, how it will come back to you. Either it would be true or it can be false, right? So that thing, like whether it is true or false, or only two values, when you are handling two values, at that time you can use boolean. Okay. Now the question is, whenever we are storing all these things, where it is going to be stored? So physically there is some space where this program is residing, and this, when your program would be executing, it would be on that random access memory. That random access memory, which is called RAM, uh, that should, like, in if you are, if you are writing any program which is native to your computer, like that is residing in your computer only, then the RAM of your machine would be used, like the space of that RAM. But when it is in cloud, we don't know where it is. But anyway, when it is executing, there should be some random access memory where it is actually executing. Okay, that part is there, uh, from where it is actually picking up all these things. Now, the question is, anybody want to say anything?
Sir,
Okay.
Deepanjan here. Good morning.
So, in whenever we are
Hello.
actually writing all these things, it is actually taking some memory space. What is memory? There can be two different types of computer memory: primary memory and secondary memory. RAM is a kind of a primary memory. I am not going into what is secondary memory. So, it will take some memory space, means in primary memory space. So, whatever we are doing, whatever we are writing, that should be residing on the primary memory, and it will take some space. What are the things it takes? Like, it will capture some space. These variables primarily. So primarily, what will happen? Primarily, these whatever variables you are defining, and whatever whenever it is actually that program is executing, it will take some space in memory. Boolean takes minimum space, double, long, these are taking maximum space. Okay, that is first thing. Second thing, when you were saying that there is integer, then there is a maximum and minimum value that one integer can store. Why it is that? Because when the number is growing, say 10, 12, then 10,000, 12,000, then 10 lakh, 12 lakh, whatever I am saying, whenever numbers are increasing, it is going to take more space in memory. So, depending upon how much space is already allocated for any data type, for primitive data type, it is there. whatever space is already given, or uh, it is fixed by that language itself, like how much space it is going to take. Depending upon that, there is a maximum and minimum value you can store within a variable. It cannot go beyond that. Okay. So say in Apex, what is the maximum value of an. So in Apex, it is a 32-bit number. What is this bit? Whoever has uh, you have heard about byte. Okay, most of the time you have heard about this word byte. So megabyte, gigabyte, GB. When you are saying GB, that is gigabyte. Now it has come into terabyte. Okay, so you can just uh, search this in Google. What is the size? So if we combine bit, bit is the unit of space of measurement in um, computer memory, you can say. Not only actually memory, it is only like, I have to explain the binary concept. I am not going to that right now. Only thing is that just keep in mind that with 8 bit it would be a byte. Okay, if I combine 8 bit, take total 8 bit as a whole, that would be byte. So a 32-bit number that does not include any decimal point. We have already talked about that. It is not decimal point. The value range of this starts from this one, and the maximum value is this one. So this is the length it can actually take. So if you are trying to store a number beyond this, then you cannot store that within integer. Let's look into mm, long. It is not taking long, I believe. Uh, double. Okay. At least for double, we are getting directly. Otherwise, uh, long and all, you can go through and look into this. Like, you can just go through this, all the links, whatever. If you go to primitive data types, and you will find everything here. Okay. Like, this is double, integer, long is actually long int, and this is the size. So anyway, you don't need to remember all these values. I have never done that. But when you are doing these things, just keep in your mind that this kind of, there is always a length, maximum and minimum length, which you, or maximum and minimum value, I would say. There is a maximum length of your characters or numbers, whatever it is. So there would be some limit. Just try to understand this part. Keep that in your mind that there will be some um, limit which you are within which you have to work. Okay. So I am just telling this for in the second class only, so that you can get these concepts. You don't need to remember all these things. All, I mean to say, the range and all. Okay. But the thing you should be keeping in your mind that it is nothing but like a space which you are using, and obviously it would have some limitation, because this limitation, this concept of uh, it is a limited thing by which you can do whatever you are doing, but these limitations will come, and it will take a bigger place when we will move through this coding or this programming, that there are certain things we can do, there are certain things we cannot do. Okay. And at the background, there is some background logic for that, why that is not happening. Okay. So till now what we have discussed, that is uh, what can be a member variable, that is where we can store different type of data, that is member variable. Member variable can of different types. What are the types? We are just talking about primitive data types right now. I'll share this with you. Let me just put it here for now. Later, I will put that in the group as well. So just go through primitive data type for now, um, and then we can go through uh, non-primitive data types. Okay, primitive data types are the simplest forms of data which we can store. There can be more complex things which we can uh, work on later. And this ID thing, don't worry right now. I will come to this later. Don't worry about ID. Just look into the other things. That will be fine. So, just give me 1 minute. Sorry. This one and this one, I believe. So, what we would be doing, first thing is that we would be looking into, uh, we are just looking into this program. So, first thing is that within different types of variables, how we can store data. Now, important thing, when we are first time in a within a code, I am not saying within a class only. So it can be of different places, different ways we can write all these things. Only thing is that when we are writing first time any variable, that is called the declaration. So only when declaring this variable, we would be mentioning that what is the type. Okay. So when we are writing public integer a, that means I am defining one variable, right? Then after that, I can put some initial value in that variable. I can put, that is fine. Or even I can't put any value. I can just keep that blank. Keep that blank means there is no value till now. But it is always better to put the initial value, so that whenever I would be working with this thing, the initial value can at least give me something. So this is called initialization of the variable when I am writing like this. If I don't do this, then also it will not complain. Uh, when I am saying it will not complain means if there is something wrong I have written here, it will complain. How? It will give you some error. Look at this. Okay. And look at this problem. So, this message, whatever message you are seeing here, it might or might not make sense. Right now, most of them will not make much sense for you, but going forward, you will understand this pattern. Like with that pattern, you will understand that what is actually wrong there. So anyway, here it is saying that missing semicolon at public. So at public means I am defining something as public. So after that semicolon is missing. Okay. So here semicolon is missing and it was complaining. The next line it was giving you the error, but not at that line. So that is another thing you need to understand when you are looking into any issue in any line. So that issue might be at that line, or it can be in its previous line as well whenever you are writing your program. Okay. Now the question is, after this line, if I don't give semicolon, it is complaining. But at this line, I haven't given semicolon, but it is not complaining. Here also, I haven't given semicolon. It is not complaining. Then why it is complaining for this line? And why these two lines are actually ending by semicolon, but not these two lines? Okay. So this one we will discuss now. Before that, let me explain what is a method. So a method is a uh, so we are just going to write the lines of statements here. Okay, what kind of things we can do? Let's start with basic minimal thing. That is, we can do some other things as well. So basic minimal thing. Let's do addition, subtraction, all these things for now with integers. Okay, because if we are trying to do division, then with integer we will not get the actual result, because that might be the result might be a fractional value. In that scenario we should be using double, right? So guys, any question, or if you have any point, just ask me, because till now it is just going like a monologue.
Hello, sir,
Okay.
it's Sushovan.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, the primitive variable we have shown here, the date, date time, integer, double, ID, boolean. What is the basic difference between primitive and non-primitive variables? So primitive variable means what? What is the definition of it?
Primitive and non-primitive data type, right?
Yes, sir.
The simplest form of data. So, what is data? First thing is, what do you understand by this word data?
Uh,
Practically, in your real life, um, if you look into anything in this world, that is nothing but data, and actually your brain process different types of data. When you are just sitting within your room, you are looking at your wall. So what is the color of your wall? That is nothing but a data. Your brain actually process that. If you're looking at your watch, the time is nothing but a data. Actually, when you are walking, you can see some object in front of you. Cycle, van, car, lorry, anything. That is nothing but a data, and that is a quite complex data. Like, you have the road, you are you are processing a lot of data when you are actually only walking down a street. You are looking your right and left with some of your senses you are actually uh, gazing what is behind you. Also you are just looking into all the objects, all different type of objects, like some human beings, some animals, some cars, some inanimate objects, some lamppost, all these things. Your brain is processing that these are the things are around me, and when I am walking, then these are the things I have to consider. Like if you have a building just right to you, you cannot walk through that building, so you have to walk through that road only. If you have to go the other side of the building, you have to check which is the road by which you can go. So your brain already process that amount of data. So when we are writing program, and why it is object oriented, I will go through this one by one later as well. Object is nothing but accumulation of data along with some functionalities in real life. In programming as well, we are just trying to replicate that real time things within object. We are trying to confine that within object. So majority of the things we can just take, and we can just encapsulate that within one object in terms of data and functionality. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
when we are actually looking into this data, there can be very simple data, there can be very complex data. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So say there is a car, and you have to uh, actually capture that within a program. What is the dimension of the car? So the dimension you can take only say double, and that double can only give you a number. So all the simplest, the most simplest form of data is primitive data type. Okay.
Okay, sir. Understand.
From this part you can understand, later you will understand more about what is non-primitive. That is more complex scenarios what I am saying, and what can be those complex scenarios. We will, some of that we will discuss today only.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. So here we have defined one type of data, that is integer. There is another type of data we have defined, that is string. Okay. And then we have written something which is called public void first test debug. Again, that is a name. It is something when you are looking into something where you have this name, and after that there is first bracket open close. That means that is a method. So this is actually definition of a method. When we are going through this, you need to understand there are only two things you can define within a method, within a class: either variable or method. Except that you cannot write anything else within a class. So whatever you are doing, you should be defining some variable, or you should be defining some method. Okay. Now uh, let's look into these things. When we are defining this thing, this is integer, I have put some value, and it is a string. Till now I don't know where to use it or how to use it. I haven't used it anywhere, but I have defined. So within your program, you can define different variables, but you might or might not use it. The best thing is that don't declare anything which you are not using. So only declare something which is relevant for that class. That is the first thing. Okay. Second thing is that within this method, what we can write any logic, any addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of the numbers, or uh, adding or accumulating strings. Like I can add two strings, I can just find out some specific characters from a string. All these things we can do, and there are other things as well. I will come to those things later, one after another. Initially we will go with the numeric things only. Okay. uh, the numeric part is that any numerical basic things like addition, subtraction, or division, and with these things we will go through uh, other we will try to cover other things. Like till now these are straightforward statements. In your real life you will face couple of things. First thing is that either do this or do that. Okay. So this kind of scenario, how to handle that within program. Second thing is that do a repetitive work for a certain period of time, or say for certain things altogether, and after that stop it. Okay. So this kind of things are also there in real life, which we need to handle within a program. So this part, I believe, self-explanatory. I'm not saying anything. So that means variable, it can be defined within a class, but a variable can be defined within a method as well. So what is the difference between these two? We will come to that later. There is a concept called lifetime of a variable. So that lifetime, how that works, so that we will check gradually. For now, just keep in mind this is the way to define a variable, and this is the way to define a method. Like, what is this void? What is public? Public, anyway, we will come later. What is void? We will come to that later as well. For now, just keep in mind that when you are writing a method, you have to write public and void first, and then you have to write the name of that method. Next class, I will define why it is void. If it is not void, what else we can write here, and how that will come back. Like, come back means if we are writing something else here, why we should be writing that? In which scenario we should write something else in this place of void? Anyway, so for now, I have already defined what is variable. I haven't defined specifically what is method. So method is nothing but a program, a logic you are writing. You can think it about like just like a tunnel. Okay. So say if you think about any heat treatment plant, there are so many things. Like when you are working with different types of metals, say you are creating uh, gold jewelry, there also there is a heat treatment thing. So there is a container which is actually getting heated. You will put your gold there, and it will melt actually, and then you will take it out, and you will do something else. So this process of melting, the function, um, what is the function of that? That is, you will actually provide something within that. uh, you can think it as a tunnel. You can think it as a it is better to think as a tunnel. Like For a tunnel, there are two things. One is from where you can enter in that tunnel, and you can go out from that other end of that tunnel. So you are putting something in within that tunnel, and you are taking something out from that tunnel. So by whatever or what will, if there will anything will change or not, or what will happen, it depends upon the functionality of that tunnel. Like if there is something, say there is a burner and heat chamber, there is a container. You just need to put some elements there in that container and put that within a treatment tunnel. So you will put something in the beginning, and at the end of that tunnel you will find that there is a molten material or molten metal, say, you will get at the end of that tunnel. It depends upon the, if it is a cooling tunnel, then you will put something, some hot thing at the beginning, and at the end you will get something which is a cold one. So it depends upon the tunnel. So same same thing here. It depends upon the logic, whatever you are writing within this, within your method, that will actually give you like what is going in within this method and what is coming out. First thing is that, for now, keep this, just think this as a syntax. I will explain it later. What is system dot debug, why it is written like that. But for now, just keep in mind that if we have to print something, like if we have to look into some log, something, when we are writing this program, if we need to look into some output of this program, or this method, or if we just want to print something, print values, whatever we want to print, then we have to use system.debug. If we are using system.debug, it will actually come under this log. If I execute this program, then some log will be generated here, and within that log, you can see these things, whatever you have written within system.debug. Okay, and within this system.debug, if you are putting some string, if you are putting some string, after that, if you are using plus, then this string will actually concatenate these values, whatever you are writing as plus 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 plus. So it will convert all these things into string, and it will actually uh, convert that values into string, and it will print it out. If it cannot convert that value within string, it will complain. It will tell you there is some issue. And I was just saying you that when you are writing any string, that is actually set of characters, because if I write 111 here, then also it will not complain, because it is taking it as character. Any character it can take, except some special ones. Anyway, now what we have just completed writing our first class with this thing. So we have defined variable, we have defined one method, uh, method signature. This is called actually method signature. This thing is called method body, and then it gets completed. So first thing to understand from coding perspective, where like always remember, sorry, when you are writing apex class, any line in apex class will be completed by a semicolon. where the execution or the functionality of that line is actually enclosed within that line itself. Okay, so you can see that semicolon is given for few of these lines, but not given for this one or this one. Why it is so? Because when we are saying that in this line I am defining variable, so defining variable, this work is completed by this line. I have already defined these variables. When I am saying that I am defining one string, the definition of a string, that functionality is completed here. Here I have defined another variable. Here I have just assigned some value. What is value assignment? I will come to that later. Here I am just doing some arithmetic operation. I am just adding A and B and storing that value within C. It is little difficult uh, from the concept of different from the concept of algebra. In algebra, when you were writing this thing, or you could write a plus b equals to c, but in program you cannot write this, because in algebra when you are writing c is equal to a plus b, that means the value in right hand side and the value in left hand side are equal. Here it does not mean that. Here it means that whatever is here in your right hand side, you are assigning that value to left hand side. And what you can assign in, like, in terms of value, what or where you can assign, you can only assign within a variable. Okay, so that is why it is called variable. It takes some space, as I was telling you. I was showing you that what max space it can take and what max value it can store. So anyway, this assignment is also some operator. We will discuss this in detail in next class. Only thing, just try to understand that here I am trying to add some value and storing that somewhere else. That functionality is also completed. Here I am trying to print something. That work is also done here. Same thing. Wherever your functionality is completed within single line, it will be enclosed, or it will be the last thing what you have to do. You have to put this semicolon. Where it is not completed, the functionality what you are trying to write, that is not completed. In those situations, you don't need to, like, you cannot put that semicolon there. And if something is not completed within one line, then we are saying that we are defining a body. Even if that body of one line, it can be of one line, but then also that is something. Whatever is not getting completed within one line, it would have a body. Just take this as a statement for now. And if it has some body, then you cannot put semicolon there, and you have to write this second bracket. Any body, like any body, anything whatever is called as a body, like a class, defining a class is done somewhere, but all the things what I wanted to achieve within a class, is that completed here? The answer is no. I just wanted to define some variables and I just wanted to define some functions or methods. So that means all these variables and functions are enclosed within a, or encapsulated within a class. Okay. And that is the body of that class. So that means the functionality of that class is not completed here in one line. That's why it has a body, and that needs to be enclosed with second bracket. And you can see I have just put my cursor here. So it is actually highlighting the starting and ending brace, so that you can understand this body. Like if you are writing a big program, sometimes it becomes very difficult to understand, like, what is the start and what is the end. So to maintain that, one important thing you should go through and you should practice it properly, that is, whenever you are writing any body, there should be a tab space. With that tab space, you should start that body and you maintain that indentation till the end. So this variable, definition of this variable is within this class, right? So it is a member of this class. This line also member of this class. This line is member of this class. So you can see all of them are started from a from one space. So it is nothing but a tab space I have given, right? So everybody that should be, you should be using one more tab space when you are starting a new body. Now let's come to this thing. This is a method or function. So declaration of that function is done in this line. But what I am trying to achieve, that is summing up to field values and then showing that summation, that few lines I have to write, like where I can store this summation value. So for that I have defined another variable. Initial value of A was there, but I wanted to change the value of B. So I have put that value here. Then I am doing this summation. Then I am printing two lines. So all these things, these I just want to achieve by this method. So the functionality of this method is not completed in one line. So that's why it has a body. Again, you can see, uh, as it has a body, within second bracket I have written this body. And from this previous body, it is different, right? So this method is actually, if I think from a hierarchy perspective, uh, this this method is within this class and this body is within this method. So when it is starting a new body, I have just started that with another tab space. Like I have given this tab and I have started this and I have maintained that body, maintain that indentation till that body is going on. And once that is closed, once that is completed, I have come back and put this second bracket. Now you can write it in this way as well. This second bracket, you don't need to put here in this line only. You can just put that in next line as well. That is also fine. But generally, it is a best practice to use that in same line, so that you, that will reduce the length, first thing, because if you are writing a big program, you will try to compact the things and try to look into maximum maximum space in one glance. If you are just putting this in second line, so you are actually, uh, horizontally you are increasing the space. So that's why it is better to put that here, and there is no other definition like why you should put it here and not in next line. There is no such thing. If you want to, like, initially when I have started writing, I always started any body, any second bracket in next line. But even if you are starting that with next line, it is still part of this body, like part of this thing, this definition of method, because this is the starting point. So keep that just below this. Okay, just below. If you are putting that in next line, it should be in this place. Okay, so that you can understand the body of this method clearly. So this is the starting part of that method. This is the ending node, ending second bracket, ending brace of that method. And you should be looking into this body, and this body should be start like having the same indentation. All the lines should be starting from same position. Keep that in your mind. Now, let's come back to one important part. We have defined this class. Last class, what we have told, what is class and what is method? Anyone except Dipanjan? Anyone can tell me what is class and what is method? What we have said.
So class is user-defined data types that are used that act as a blueprint.
Not able to hear you, Arijit.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, yeah,
Class are defined data types that act as a blueprint for individual objects.
right. So class is the in short, class is the blueprint, and object is the physical entity. So if I have to access, if I have to access any property, so or any member of a class, what I can do, I can just access like any member means already I have already told, either it can be member variable or it can be member method. Okay, so member variable or member method, whatever you are putting, that should be actually like those members you can only access using some object, because object is the physical copy, right? And class is the blueprint. So the blueprint, as you can think, like blueprint of a car, you can drive that. If you have to drive, you need a physical car, that is that object. So now to execute this method, we have to define some object of this class and then execute it and try to look into the output. Okay, so just give me 1 minute. Then I will show you how we can define object of this class and how this can be executed and how it is different. Like here, I am just defining one variable, uh, and here I am defining some variable, or I am assigning some variable here. How it is actually changing the scenario. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, so this is called developer console. In developer console, you can look in one thing that is called open execution anonymous window. So anonymous window is nothing but you can write your code and you can execute that. Okay. But whatever you have executed, that will be gone later. Not all the things get stored here. Anyway, so we have written one class, and we will write something here so that we can execute this class. So for that, what we have to do, we have to define object. Okay. So how we can define object? So in a in your org, there can be multiple programs. Sorry, I mean to say multiple classes. Programs means nothing but classes. So you can write different classes. So how to identify that object of which class I need? So with the name of the class, you can mention or you can let the system know that I want object of this class. Say obj1. Okay. And it is defining object is nothing but different from defining any variable. But only thing is that for variable, the types are specific, whatever are predefined. Here, whatever the class name you have given, that exactly the same thing you have to write here. Okay, what I have highlighted. If I have written that as first CLS, in place of that, if I have written first CLASS, then I had to write first CLASS. Then only it will refer to this class. Otherwise, it will not. And for now, just keep in mind that when you are defining any object, you have to define it in this way. First, you have to write this first obj1 equal to new first bracket open close. What is this? We will come to that later in next to next class, that is constructor. So for now, just keep in mind this is called calling of constructor. How that is working, what it will do, uh, I'll come to that later. For now, just keep in mind that first class obj1, it is actually taking with this constructor, I am defining and initializing it. Then what I can do, obj1, whatever the members, whatever you have defined as member, that you can access outside of your class if it is public. Okay. So anyway, you can access that outside of that class with the help of the object. Okay. How you can do that? Obj1 dot a. You can write it like this. Or here we are going to access this method. Okay. Bracket open close, and it is completed. If I have to define some other object, I have to give some other name. Otherwise, it will complain. Okay. And here also we can use it. Let's do one thing, equals to 20. So how it is going to work? Let's look into this. We have this log. Okay. So many things. This is one of the important thing of writing code. You need to understand the debug log. You need to read the debug log properly. So here it is timestamp. Here it is event. What are these events? We will discuss that later. And this is the details. What is the outcome actually that you can set here? Okay. So what I have told that the debug should come in this log. Okay. Let's look into these two lines. Okay. What was my first thing what I have done? I have defined one object of class first class obj1, and then I have put some value, like I haven't put any value, but I have called the method, that is first test debug. Okay. So this first test debug, this method, that is being called. And when I am calling this, it will say that these two things are coming in debug along with other things, whatever system is providing. So, what are these two statements? This one, hash test debug, that's what I have printed. And then what I have printed, that is value of C. That is a static string I have printed, and I have printed the value. Okay, how it looks like. Let's go back. Here you can see the static string, whatever I have put within this system debug, that is value of C, and then equal to, and then I have this value. The variable itself I have given without any quotes. So remember, in Apex, whenever you are writing any string, that should be enclosed within single quotes or double quotes. But if you are starting with double quotes, you have to end that with double quotes. If you are starting with single quotes, then it will end with single quotes. So this is the static message it has shown, and the next one is the variable itself, the value of that variable. Now, this is the same class, right? This is the same class, and I have created two different objects of this class. And the outcome, whatever the outcome is, the value of C, and here again, the value of C. Both of them, like these two things are different. Have you seen this? Practically, the value of A is different. Here, the initial value, whatever I have given, that is coming, and the value of B is 10. Here, Value of A, whatever is given is there. Value of B, I haven't initialized anything, but within that method, I have given that value and it has taken. How I can ensure that it has taken? That's why it is taking, it is showing 30 because here I have given value 20. So how it is actually working? Let's come to that thing. Just give me 1 minute. I will present once again. Just give me 1 minute. I just need one space where I can show you what is happening. So just a minute. I'm coming back with whatever I was showing you. I'm not finding any drawing tool. What happened? Something happened with my machine. Some of the applications has gone. Just give me 1 minute. Mm, Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get one tool where we can just show you how it is working. Anyway, I'm not finding any space here. Let me just go back to some Word document where I can show you. I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Guys, can you hear me or
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
it seems like I can't hear you? Something happened.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can't hear you guys. Let me try to rejoin. Yes, but I can't hear you guys. So let me just rejoin. Hopefully, if that. Uh, am I still audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What happened to my mic? Not sure what happened with my mic. The speaker is working, but not sure what happened. Anyway, let me quickly show you this. Probably next, or I will try to join from another device, and then I'll try to answer your questions if you have anything. Let me quickly show you what I was trying to show you. So, say um, this is your class, whatever class name we have given. First, CLS probably. So, whenever I am trying to define object of this class, what it will doing actually at the background, it is actually defining one container. Okay. Um, So it is actually trying to put something, say, somehow things are not working right now in my system. Not sure why. Anyway, let me try to do this. And so this is actually obj1, and this one is obj2. Okay. So both obj1 and obj2 are having the member variables separately. So in obj1, you have A, you have B, but C is not a separate thing here. When we are looking into this, let's look into this. So these two member variables, so these two are there, A and B. At the same time, this ace is also there. Okay. For obj2, A, B, and S, these things are created separately. Okay. So it seems like there is one blueprint of a car, and from that blueprint, you have created two different cars. So both the cars will have the steering, the seats, uh, brake, clutch, uh, accelerator, everything, whatever the properties, whatever the things are there, uh, those will be created separately. Same way, in obj1 and obj2, all the member variables, the copy of these member variables will be created separately. Okay. But this one, the method, copy of this method will be created once only in the memory. This copy of this method will be only once. And if I call this method, this if this method is called, like this method I have called with obj1 and this method I have called with obj2, in both the scenario, this obj1, through this obj1 I have accessed this method once, and with another instance I have accessed that method from obj2. So what will happen? Why those answers were different, like a plus b? Because when I am calling from obj1, it is actually taking the instance, the values of this instance, that is this a, b, s, whatever I have defined, it is taking this instance. When I am taking obj2, it is taking these instances. So here the value of 1 to 5 to 1 something, this value was like this, final value of a. Because when you are assigning value, initialization and after assigning value, whatever values you are providing, the last value it will keep, the previous values will get overwritten. So this was the value, second value was 10 most probably, and second time what I have done, I have assigned this value separately, right? I have assigned that value from here, like this one I have given the value of a. And that is why This assignment is having different value, that is 20. But for B, it is not going to change anyway, because whenever I am assigning it, it would be somewhere in the definition. But after that, whatever I am doing, whenever I am doing, this statement will be executed at last, because after this, there is no way to assign value of B from outside of this class. This object is outside of this class, right? So value of B you cannot change. The final value of B will be 10 anyway. Okay. And that's how the result is different. Let's look into that result quickly once again, and then we will complete this thing, and I will join from a separate device. So that's how after summation value of C is 12531, and here after summation value of C is 30, because 20 plus 1 and 12521 plus 10, something as that, like this. Okay. So let me try to just join from a different device, and let me see what happens. I cannot share screen from. Can any one of you speak? Let me check whether I can hear you or not.
Sir, am I audible?
Now you are audible. Great.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Tell me, what are the questions you have? So the basic concept, what you need to understand is that when you are defining a class and you are defining the objects of that class, that means within that object, the member variables will be coming or will be created separately. Okay, that is going to take separate space, and that is why they can hold different values. Okay, but the method will be, that would be a single instance of that method, but that would be called from the context of the object from by which object you are calling it. Okay, so here we have called it from obj1 and obj2 separately. So it is taking that, it is actually taking that context. So in that context means in obj1, whatever the values of a, b, it will be used there when you are calling it from obj1. But from obj2, when you are calling that, it will take the values of the instance of a, b from obj2. That's how it works. Okay, so I'll let you go today because you have a separate session now, I believe. So, whatever questions you have, keep that handy for the next class. First 10-15 minutes, we will discuss those questions first, whatever you have, and then we will go into other things like uh, constructor and whatever is there, the next topic. So till now, whatever I have shown you, is that clear to you or everything is smoky?
Clear, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good. Then bye for today, and next class would be on Sunday morning, and